So just imagine, I know you probably just woke up, but I'm going to ask you to just sit for a moment and think. So imagine that you're visiting maybe your great grandmother's house, and it's been over 100-year-old home. And she asks you to, take a look in the basement, and it's been over 100-year-old home. And she asks you to, take a look in the basement because I have something for you. You open the door, and she doesn't have one of those light switches that's right next to the top of the steps. You have to actually go down into the basement to pull on the string to turn on the light. And you know that the light is in the middle of the room. But for some reason, the light. And you know that the light is in the middle of the room. But for some reason, you basically take the risk and you see the first 3 steps. Perfectly fine. And then you walk down the steps. But then when it gets to the 4th step, all of a sudden the darkness of the basement has overtaken the rest of the steps. And you have no idea how many more steps they are. So then you take a step very gingerly, nice and easy. You add a little extra pressure and you're like, okay, I didn't die. So then you do it again for the next step. And then the next. Then the next. Then eventually, all of a sudden, the step feels a little more heavier than the previous ones. And you take another step, bring your other foot down, and you're like, okay, both of my feet are even. So that means I'm on the floor. And that's great. But we still haven't reached our goal. We still have to go and turn on the light. Because right now, as you're looking around, you can't see anything. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. But you still walk. And and you're just reaching out, and you're trying to pull the string. Then eventually you feel something on your hand. You pray that it's a string. And then you're batting around trying to find it again. And then eventually you do find it. But then you got to pull it. And then eventually you do find it. But then you got to pull it. You got to put an action to it in order for that light to illuminate. Now the reason why I'm using this analogy is you can use it for math, you can use it for this, but you can use it for life. In the first few steps of your life, it's already dictated for you. They just tell you where to go, what to do, and you just take those steps. But then eventually you get older. And then you have to do other things that you really either didn't see your parents do or older. And then you have to do other things that you really either didn't see your parents do or whoever was raising you do. So you have to figure it out for yourself. You're trying while doing. Sometimes it'll be a good step. Sometimes it might be a misstep. You're trying to take 2 steps at one time instead of one after the other. And what do? You trip up. But do you die? No. You get up, you get your balance, and then you try to take a next step. Eventually, you're going to feel pretty even on the ground. And you're like, all right, everything's pretty solid. And then you're like, but I'm still not seeing the light. So you still have to walk around and discover where your light is. Notice I didn't say you had to pull 28 strings in order to illuminate 28 bulbs. No, you just have to pull your string to illuminate your light. So in order for you to do that, maybe the whole darkness is your struggles with just normal life. Or, if I may put it, your struggles to understanding the math so you can be able to pull your string. So what I do here is I'm going to talk about some of the math that you're going to see in the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, the HESI test, your GED or any high school equivalency test, in order for you to feel confident enough not only to keep going, but to really do the last action, which is to pull the string. So if you don't know me, I'm not like I am a poet. Absorb me. No. My name is Audrey Codner. I'm the owner of Math by Audrey. And what I've been doing for 6 years, I was an online tutor. But now I'm really trying to help those to really see their greatness. And 6 years, I was an online tutor. But now I'm really trying to help those to really see their greatness. And you can do math, but I do it step by step. So what we're actually going to be doing today is looking at word problems, especially distance, rate, and time problems. These are the ones that people that are taking the ASVAB are usually freaking out about. So now I'm going to show you step by step how to solve that. What are some of the ASVAB are usually freaking out about? So now I'm going to show you step by step how to solve that. What are some of the clues so you can get your answer a lot quicker and you can feel confident in it. All right, so let's take a look. And good morning to everyone. Let's flip that bad boy around. All right, so the outermost station and back. All right, so we got a situation here. Of course, I kind of like to go straight to the question because I like to use word problems almost like being a detective. First, in order for you to be a detective, there's got to be a crime. So what is the crime? It is how long did the trip there take if the return trip took 18 hours? So that means there was a trip there and a trip back. And then what they say, on the trip there, it traveled 90 miles per hour. That's interesting. Okay, so that's on the trip there. The trip back, it took 60 miles an hour. Okay, so on the return trip, 60 miles an hour. So they want to know how long did the trip there take if the return trip took 18 hours. Now, people want to know what is the formula. And there's so many formulas out there. But the easiest one that I like to approach deals with a triangle. So on the top is my distance. Oops, sorry. Over here is my rate or my speed. And right here is my time or my speed. And right here is my time. So if you're looking for distance, this is what you do. You cover the D and it tells you what you need to do. You need to take your rate times your time. Okay, RT, and it tells you what you need to do. You need to take your rate times your time. Okay, RT means R times T. If you're looking for the rate, whatever you're looking for, that's what you cover up. So if I'm looking for my rate, that means I need to take the distance and divide by the time. If I'm looking for time, I cover up the T, and what do? I divide the distance and the rate. Now, anytime they mention miles per hour, that is your rate. Or some people like to put it with the S, meaning your speed. Anytime they say miles per hour, that's your rate. Okay. So we got two different situations here. We have a situation of going there, and we have a situation of the return trip. So we're doing this twice. So let's take a look. So let's look at what they're giving us. They're giving us the return trip at 60 miles per hour, and it said, how long did it take? It took 18 hours. Okay? So since they gave us this information about the return trip, let's tackle that first. So they're giving me a time, which is the 18 hours, and they're giving me my rate, which is 60 miles per hour. So if I'm looking, they're giving me a time, they're giving me a rate, so that means I need to find what's called the distance. So I am going to take my time in hours, which is 18, times that rate, which is 60, and we're going to multiply those two together to find the distance. Okay? Because then we're going to use that information to help find how long, that's distance, the trip took for them to go there. So if we can work out the return trip, that means we can work out the time going there. So 60 times 18, that gives us what? So we have our 0. 6 times 8, that's 48. Bring down the 8, carry the 4. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 4 gives me 10. So we found the distance of the entire trip. Okay, so that was based off of what we got from the return trip. So that's going there and coming back. But we're going to use this information to talk about the trip there. So for the trip there, we have our distance. Okay, this is our miles. That's the distance of the entire trip. But then they gave us, it traveled 90 miles per hour. They gave us the rate. So we have the distance, we have the rate, so what are we going to do to find the time? Okay, hey Brenda. Okay. There you go, Autumn. All right, Autumn, I see you. Nicole, I see you. Or Nicole. Could be French. Okay. All right. I see you. So we are trying to find our time. So we're going to divide the distance and its rate. So that means we're taking our 1080 and divide by our rate, which is 90 miles per hour. Okay. So how many groups of 90 can go into 10? None. How many can go into 108? 1. 90 can go into 10? None. How many can go into 108? 1. Okay, so 108 minus 90 gives us 180. So 18, bring down the 0, will give us 180. And then how many 90s can go into 180? 2. So when we divide, we have 12. 12 what? What is my units of measure? So this was miles. This was miles per hour. So that means we have 12 what? Okay, Autumn. Azuda? Okay, hours. Brenda, I see you. Good, hours. So this is how long, sorry I keep hitting my thing. This is how long it's going to take for the trip there. Okay, so we worked on the return trip. We noticed that we had 18 hours. They gave us the rate of 60. If you multiply those two, you'll find the miles from that entire trip. Then we use that miles to divide by our miles per hour for the trip there. It's for us to get our 12 hours. Okay, and Jean, I see you as well. Thank you. All right. The cat's fine. It's about to rain. All right. Same scenario. Okay, we go straight to the question. How long did the trip there take if the return trip took 2 hours? Okay, so again, another back and forth type situation. So on the trip there, they traveled 40 miles per hour. On the return trip, it went 60 miles per hour. But they're saying how long did the trip there take if the return trip took 2 hours? So since they're telling us about the return trip, let's tackle that first. Okay. So they're giving us a time for the return trip, that's 2 hours. Okay. And for the return trip, they're giving us our mileage, which is 60 miles per hour. That's for the return. So if they're giving us time, so if we think about it, you have your distance, you have your rate, you have your time. So they're giving us the time, which is the 2 hours. They're giving us a rate of 60 miles per hour. That means we need to multiply these two to find the distance. So that means you have your 60 times 2. Okay. And that gives us our 120. Okay. Because we got ratios, 20. Okay. Because we got ratios. So now they're asking us if she's traveling there, because now we're taking a look at the travel there, that'll be our 40 miles per hour. So now you have your 120, and since it was our distance and they gave us our rate, we can divide those two, and that was 40 miles an hour. So if we're dividing, sometimes I kind of like to make the numbers smaller, but since both of them have zeros, now I can cancel them out. Now I just look at 12 divided by 4. And then 12 divided by 4, that gives us, 3 what? 3 hours. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. So there's always multiple ways. There's one way of doing it. So another way is you could set it up as a proportion. Because you notice they're always using miles an hour and then they're using our time. So if you want, you could say, all right, I can have my miles per hour. Slide this over a bit and over. I can have my miles per hour. Slide this over a bit and over. So if I have my miles per hour, say the first one was 40, but we didn't know the time of the trip, so that'll be our x, and the other one was 60, but we know it was going to be time, it's going to be 2, because some people were like, can you just do this? Let's see. So if we have our 40 over our x, because we're doing that comparison of 1, okay, and then if we had our 60 over our 2, that means we were probably going to be doing cross multiplication, right? So if we cross multiply, let me move it completely over here so I got myself room. So if I cross multiply, I would get 60 times x, which gives me 60x. And then if I do my 40 times 2, I would get my 80. So if I divide both sides by 60, I would get x is equal to 8 over 6, because since they end with zeros, you can cancel those out. But 8 over 6 gives us what? Cancel those out. But 8 over 6 gives us what? Because how many 6s can go into 8? That gives us 1. Okay, with the remainder of 2. But if I keep going, is that going to give us the equivalent of 3 hours? Okay, yeah, right? So here's my thing. When it comes to distance, rate, and time, it's not a comparison of proportions, because it's not like a proportion, because it's not the same ratios. So if there were the exact same ratios, that same distance, I can see doing proportions. But this is when we're talking about the back and forth. Okay? So it's not going to be a simple equation like if it was the map. Like, okay, the distance from one point to another point was a certain time, and then you're trying to do the comparison. I can see having equal. But for this, since it's the distance, rate, and time, you're going to want to keep this pattern. Okay? Alright, no worries. No worries. So this is when we have to do self-discovery. One, thank you for asking that question. Okay? Because I know a lot of people are like, well, can I just do that? Ask. And I appreciate that. Alright? So, a couple more. So thinking about distance, rate, and time. Okay. Yeah, I'm just a visual person. So I have my distance, my rate, and my time. Okay. So, going to the question. What was Jill's average speed on a trip there if she averaged 60 kilometers per hour on the return trip? Okay. What are they giving us? So we're looking for, we use different time, but what are they giving us? They're telling us that the return trip, the average speed was 60 kilometers per hour or kilometers per hour. Now, since they're mentioning the return trip, what was her mileage or what was going on the return trip? Well, they mentioned here, and the trip back took 4 hours. So let's tackle that. Let's tackle with the information that they're giving us, just like a detective. In order for, yes, there's a crime, that's why we got a question. What are we looking for? So what are the clues? The clues are, they give us the average, basically average rate on the return trip. So what happened on the return trip? Well, the return trip, it took 4 hours. All right? So anytime they give you miles per hour, kilometers per hour, this per hour, any of that, that's your rate. Then they said it took 4 hours. That's our time. So that means we need to multiply those two together to find our time. So that means we need to multiply those two together to find our distance. So let's get to it. So if we want to find our distance, it's gonna, no, I keep hitting it, I'm sorry. it's going to be our 60 times our time, which is 4 hours. Okay, so we got our rate and time. So what is, okay, so for your final, okay, we're going to say, so we have 60 times 4, that gives us our 240. But 240 what? 240 what? What is this 240 representing? Okay, but what's the 240 representing? Yes, good. Representing our kilometers. Yes. So now this was our kilometers of our trip. So that involved the return trip and the return there. But now we're still looking for the average speed. So we're going to use this information. So if we're looking for the average speed, I'm covering up my R. So that means I'm taking the distance, which is the 240, and I'm going to divide by the time. And what was the time? They said the trip there took 3 hours. Okay, good, Joanne. Good, Nicole. Good. So now let's divide. How many groups of 3 can go into 24? Exactly 8. And how many groups of 3 can go into 0? 0. And that's 80 what? What is our units of measure? 80 what? Okay, 80 what? There you go. Okay. Is it Izuda? And then Brenda, I see you. The Goddess, I see you. Joanne, I see you. Okay. So since we're working on kilometers, and then we're dividing, so it's kilometers per hour, or kilometers per hour, depending where you're from. I know, we're so used to dealing with miles. Right? Chill, I see you. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is our answer here. Okay. All right. Okay. So, Mega, if you think it's wrong, what's the correct answer? Waiting. What do you think the correct answer is, Mega? Nothing? Okay. Okay, so based on the information they've given us, what do you got? And how'd you figure out 70? So based on the average rate, okay, with the trains, so we're not calculating air resistance, sir, or ma'am. Okay? All right. So, for number 4. Okay? Give number 4 a little bit. See what you can, at least with the setup. Okay? See if you can set it up. See if you can set it up. All right, where would we start, Lieutenant John? So where would we start? So what was the jet's average speed? Okay, so that means our answer should have a comparison of something to hours. Okay, so if the average, okay, on the trip, if the average is 165 kilometers per hour on the return trip. So since they're giving us our average rate on the return trip, so that means we need to take a look at what was happening on the return trip. So the trip back, it took 12 hours. Okay, so since they're giving us hours and they're giving us our rate, and we love to use, oops, okay, so the average speed, that's what we're going to be looking for something else, but the average speed that they got for the return trip was 165. And they said that trip took 12 hours. What are we going to do with that information? Okay, what are we going to do with that information? Okay. So taking it piece by piece, what are we going to do with that information? Okay. Yep. So we're going to multiply those two. Good. So we have our 165 times the 12. And that's going to give us what? Yes, Nicole. Good. Ashley, I see you. Still haven't corrected me on your name. Is it Izuda? Okay. If that's the correct pronunciation. Alright. So Brenda got 1980. Decent year. Nicole got 1980. Good. Alright. So now, this 1980 is representing what? Well, no, I want to call it your proper name. There's a power in your name. There's a reason why you were called that. Okay. User 51, I see you. Ashley, I see you. Alright. Alright. So this 1980 is going to represent, there you go, thank you, your kilometers or kilometers. So now we need to figure out the other part of the trip. So we're going to be looking at your average speed, on the trip there, and they told us that the trip there took 11 hours. So we have our distance. We're looking for the average speed, so we're covering up our R. So that means we're taking that distance and you are dividing by t. Okay, so we have our distance, which is our 1980. We're dividing by the time, which is 11. How many 11s can go into 19 without going over? That would be 1. Give a remainder of 8. Then we have an 88. How many 11s can go into 88? Well, that's 8. And then how many 11s can go into the 0? That will be 0. So we have an answer because this is the kilometers and this was our hours. So our answer for the average rate is going to be kilometers per hour. Okay. Okay. So it'll be our kilometers per hour. Okay. So taking it step by step. So I know Mega, you're adding the air resistance and everything, and I get that. But this is the entry level. This is before we start talking about resistance, before we talk about gravity, all that fun stuff. Okay? But I appreciate you. Hello, Miss Lewis. Good morning. Okay? You forgot how to divide? Who you got? Who you got, 1980? What are you talking about? Okay? So T, what's your question? Just ask your question. Right. And I appreciate that, Mega. Appreciate that. Alright? So if you have your questions, but usually when you're looking at distance, rate, and time formula, okay? Especially what you will see in the ASVAB, these are exactly how they will be formulated. Okay? If you can get to have this in your memory, it will make so much simpler. Okay? So if they're saying, sometimes they're not doing a comparison of two things, sometimes they're just doing one thing. They're just saying, oh, what's the rate? If you're looking for the rate, that's what you cover up. And then you will do the division of the distance and time. If they said find the distance, cover the D, and then you're doing the multiplication of the rate and time. The average speed, no. So the average speed, they're either dealing with miles per hour, or you're doing with kilometers or kilometers per hour. Time is always just your hours or minutes. But if it's in minutes, they want you to convert it into hours. How did I get the 1980? When you multiply the 165 times 12. So you have your 165 times 12. Then you have your 5, sorry, I keep hitting my thing. Then you have 5 times 2, that's 10, carry the 1. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 1 is 13, carry the 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, when you do 1 times 5, it's not under 0. It's going to be under the 3 because it's in the 10 spot. Then 1 times 6, and 1 times 1. When you multiply, you're making things bigger, so you're adding. So you have your 0, 3 and 5 is 8, 3 and 6 is 9, and you bring down your 1. So yes, Ashley, this is like GED, ASVAB, Accuplacer, TEAS test, HESI test, especially when you're entering into nursing school. Okay. All right. My dot, I don't even know what your name is. Okay. All right. Does that make it a little bit clearer where the 1980 came from? All right. Okay. So these are some of the questions that you will find. Now, if you need more practice with this, okay, I do have books that I've created to design all of this, and it's called Algebra at Your Pace. Okay. See if I can clear things up here. Okay, so mostly with your average rate and time. So with your Algebra at Your Pace, it really breaks down these concepts. Now, a lot of it is your scanning, and whatever is being scanned, you actually will see a video of me breaking down the concepts. Like say for this one's properties of exponents, I will be breaking down those concepts for you, plus giving you practice problems in addition to some extra practice problems in order for you to break down your concepts. Because once you did all of this work, we did 4 problems today. So after you got all these 4 problems written down and you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, what are you going to do with all this stuff? Like, okay, a lot of people come on just to get entertained, but a lot of you guys really still have trouble with trying to get through your GED, trying to raise that score to get in order for you to go into the military. So we need to get the ASVAB score. So if we need to get something above a 31, but what are you doing to prepare yourself for that? Okay? You can't just watch videos. That's not studying. Okay? Watching the videos, you're watching it for entertainment. You're not watching it as a student. So after you do the videos, it has to follow up with something. So that follow-up might be a practice page, or that follow-up might be you're looking at your notes, you're trying to recreate it, you're trying to go step by step. But if you do need some extra practice, I do have my ASVAB math practice page that I basically designed. Okay, put a lot of the questions that's here that you will actually see on the test. And what you do is, it's like a mock test. You're just going to sit down and break down these concepts. So then after you time yourself, because that's another thing. That's the part that usually gets a lot of people when they're taking the standardized test, is that they're being timed. When you learn it, yes, you have a lot of time for you to process it. But then you also need something to practice with a timed setting. So like for people that are taking the ASVAB, you basically have 1 minute per question. If you're doing longer than a minute, and that person, whoever the proctor is, they'll tell you to move on. Exactly the same. They will tell you to move on. You're on that question too long. Move on. And guess what? You got to move on. Hi, welcome to the military. Okay? So, if anything, it talks about different things, but it gets a lot with those arithmetic reasoning questions, which is simply word problems. Now, if you break down word problems step by step, you're going to be perfectly fine. All right? So, if you want access to this, or even my other practice exam book, which is the same thing, all we're doing is basically mock exams, and you're just taking these things step by step. And you're timing yourself. You're like, okay, I got 35 questions. Let me give myself 35 minutes and let me see how many questions I can get done. And then you have your answer key with it. Okay? So if you want any of these, oh yeah, I already covered it, Michelle. But thank you. If you want access to any of these, all you have to do is just go to my profile. And if you have any questions, you can just go ahead and message me. So if we go to my profile, you'll see a link and it says Stand Store Math by Audrey. Just click on that link. And it'll give you a couple of things that you can use. Okay, I updated my Stand Store a little bit. So If you notice between the Facebook and LinkedIn, you have YT. Okay? If you click on the YT, it will take you directly to my YT. Sorry, fat fingers. It will take you to my YT, and this is where all my replays go. This is where all my replays live. So as you can see, this was last night's live, and then this was the previous evening's live as well. So you can always watch the replays. Okay, so if you ever need that, you can. But here's the thing, it's not consistent. It's not a flow. So if you need something that's going to give you a gentle flow, and you're like, I need from the very beginning because I am terrible at math. And in fact, you're probably not terrible at math. You just needed some guidance and maybe some tweaking to change your thinking so you'll be able to apply it to the assessment. But I do give you a free math checkup if you want to see where you stand. So all you have to do is just click on that, and it'll give you a little directive with the free math checkup. Then you just put in your name and your email so I know who's coming in here, and then it'll be sent directly to your email. Okay? So most of my things don't just take you directly to okay, you're paying for it. No, if you want to find out more about tutoring, you can do that. If you want to take a look at some of my starter kits, you can just click on that and then read through what is the starter kit. So you can see what's incorporated in it. What does it do? Who's it good for? Okay? What are the topics that it hits? All right? And if you're interested, awesome. Scroll down even further, put your information in, and most of my books are digital books. Okay? They're digital books, so they're going straight to your email. So anything that I have in physical form is exactly the same what you will get as an ebook. Okay? Alright? So you're not a big fan of word problems, but guess what? Every test has them. And the reason why they have them, because a lot of people say the same thing. I don't really like word problems. You know? Trust me, I get it. But that's how they divide the haves and the have-nots. And most of the exams have word problems. So if you want to, go ahead and scroll through. See what you can get. If you just want an individual book, you can just pay for the individual book. Now, for say volume 1 that I was kind of showing you earlier, here the digital copy is like $12.99. Whereas if you go to the A, where it's actually stored, that's $24.99. The reason why, the number of pages, and also that I use color ink. Okay, so everything could be there. So you can just scroll on through, take a look. But if anything, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Okay, so if anything, don't be like, oh, I got questions and I don't know if I can ask her. Ask me. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to figure out if this is the right thing for you. I want you to get the assistance that you need. It either could be my stuff, it could be someone else's stuff. That's perfectly fine. But the key thing is you need to get assistance. It's not going to go away. That test is going to still be there, and life is just going to keep on going. A lot of you guys probably had done like a program before about a year ago, and you still haven't taken the test because you're scared. Don't be afraid. The results is going to be the results. But when you're putting forth the effort and the understanding and you have someone to guide you through it, you're going to do fine with it. Okay? All right? So if you do have questions, just go ahead, let me know, send me a message, click on my profile picture. You may have to do it a couple of times, and then send like a request message if we're not friends yet. Okay, and then I will help you through. If you need someone to help you with the plan of, okay, what do you need to do? When are you planning to take the test? Okay, don't just send me a message saying hi, because normally I will delete those, and I don't want that. Say hi and say, hey, I just saw your live. I'm taking my GED, and right now I only have to take the math, or right now I feel stuck and I'm not sure if this is the right thing that I should do. Ask your question, okay? If I don't know the answer, I will definitely show you to a person that does. Now, for those that are planning on saying, if you're taking like the TEAS test and you need help with dosage calculations, make sure you follow a blessed RN. Let me see if I can pin that. Okay? Make sure you're following a blessed RN because that's what she does. Nothing but dosage calculations. And she is an RN. It's not someone that like took the test years ago and now they want to display their information. Like, no, she's been an RN for years and she knows her stuff. And she'll get you to understand it by using what's called puzzle pieces. Genius. Okay? Make sure you follow her. If you are struggling with multiplication and you're trying to build up your mental math, Math Stephanie. I always screw up the spelling of Stephanie. As long as I live, I don't know. But if you need with Math Stephanie, she actually breaks down the whole concept of math. If you need more help with fractions, she goes live quite often. So make sure you follow her as well. So if you need something to help you with the multiplication like really quickly, Math Stephanie is definitely the person for you. But if you want more hands-on, I think learning with Lynette. Okay, if you go with learning with Lynette, she does, sorry, I'm trying to do 28 things at the same time. She does working with math using, because I don't think she's up right now, so she does a lot of things with math using the abacus. So actually using a physical device to help with not only your addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And she has tons of books. I think she has like 29 right now. 28 or 29 books. So she has tons of books to help guide people through the process. Now the one thing I love about her books is very user friendly. It's not like as stagnant as like, all right, I'm a genius and you need to follow my lead. She understands how people think and how they should process. So if you're looking for that, that's fine. Free advertisement for everybody. Okay? All right. So if you have any questions, okay, ask. Message me. Message me right now before you forget. Okay? You're in the feeling. I'm not going to judge because I'm not God. All right? Not at all. Okay? I have my insecurities as well. But I want you to understand that you have somebody now in your corner to help guide you. Now, if you want the guidance, I'm here. If you don't, hey, thanks for stopping by and building up my algorithm. Love it. All right? But please don't just keep it within yourself. Ask the question. All right? Now, keep going and go after your light and have a great rest of your day.